really funny. All right. Thank you, Tracy. I promise I'm not mad. On that, I will share a quick story on that idea. A few years ago, I was in a coffee shop just down the street from here, and early one morning, and I was just focused on something. Got up to go refill my coffee, and the guy comes up to me that was towered over me, and he said, "Man, you're intense." I'm like, I've never met the guy before in my life. I'm like, what kind of impression am I giving people? You know, I'm sure they just see the love of Christ in me. Like, it's just oozing out in this matter of intensity and focus. So, yeah, sometimes that gets in the way, guys. So if I flip on that switch, just somebody stand up, and I'm going to call on Frederick because he's got some comedy material, right? All right. So he's gonna do some stand up if I need him here in a minute, right? Okay. So yes, I'm going to share with you some things this evening, and then tell you a little bit more of my story in the morning. And so I'm looking forward to the day tomorrow. Tracy and Reed both did a great job of setting up kind of why we're here. I want to expand on that just a little bit with you guys, and deeply appreciate you being here. I mean, the investment of your time is one of the biggest investments you could possibly make, and we get that. And I appreciate that. And I hope you leave and feel like you've been encouraged, you know, and I hope you feel like it's a time well spent. And I hope you feel like the Lord was present in our time together, and He speaks to you in a special way. So as Tracy explained, you know, the main driver of Cultivate and to remind you of what Reed said earlier, and I wanted to make the same point. We're not asking you for anything. There's no punchline at the end. You know, we're not asking you to sign up for the accelerator. We're not asking you to, you know, sponsor anything. We're just glad you're here, and we want to create friendship around the topic that we're all embedded in and familiar with, right? So, so the accelerator is our core. You know, where we have, she said, 16 fellows going through the program right now with us, and we're diving deep with them on a regular basis. This lab gives us an opportunity to basically, I describe it as a fire hose. So we're going to do a fire hose over the next 24 hours of basically a lot of the material that that we talk about in the accelerator. So hang on and be ready. You know, be ready to participate. Because one of the things that is our big goal and what we're asking God for is that He would bring a community of 1,000 redemptive entrepreneurs together in Oklahoma City by the year 2032. That's what we're praying for. That doesn't mean everybody that goes through the accelerator. We're talking about people who understand what if God unleashed 1,000 entrepreneurs in this city that were committed to using their business platform in a redemptive way for the glory of God. And we were locking arms together to see that happen and to participate in that. So that's what our hope and dream and prayer is. And you guys are a part of that now. So, so as Tracy said, you know, the lab, we really want to create community. We want to create ideas. We want to create conversation. One of the things that is on my prayer list for my business this year is that God will bring people of peace to my business that I can lock arms with and understand why we want to care for people the way we want to care for people, why we are committed to serving people in the way that we work at Providence. And so I hope that through this you find people of peace together that you can call on, and that brothers and sisters that are going the same way. Different businesses maybe, but we understand what we're trying to do. We understand the mission that we're on, right? So that would be a great, great encouragement that would come out of this next couple of days. We're gonna go deep dive into redemptive frame. So one of the things that from that we hope also creates some common language. You know, some words that we get it when we hear it, and language creates culture, and we want that to permeate. to permeate the idea of redemptive entrepreneurship. And then we want to share challenges and best practices. So we've done a lab similar to this with the investor and funder community in Oklahoma City. It just was phenomenal to create a nucleus of common language among some investors and funders in our city. We did a lab similar for real estate brokers and agents, another area. And we just see opportunities to gather people around common industry sectors where we understand some of the challenges and opportunities we have to work together. And so that's why we're doing a healthcare lab, because literally we sat back and we thought of what are the key sectors in Oklahoma City that are major centers of influence in our city. And healthcare is if we can look right now just about across the highway and we can see the health sciences complex over here, multiple hospitals. The hub right here downtown Oklahoma City is this health center. And healthcare is a major part of our economy and our culture in Oklahoma City. So there's other sectors that we could name off. We can name off 3 or 4 others really quickly that are key sectors in our city, and we hope the Lord will bring together people of peace in those sectors as well, right? So we're going to talk about, we want to expose you guys, and we're going to do that this evening, and I'm excited for you guys to hear some of this. We're going to expose you guys to some things that God is already doing in the city you may have no idea about, and it's really cool. And so we want you to be encouraged when you hear some of the stories that you're going to hear even this evening. So we're going to have panel discussions. We're going to talk about strategy, operations, and leadership. And we've got some incredible experienced mentors that are going to be here to sit on our panels and to help us with that. So I want to unpack for you a little bit more this evening the idea of the redemptive frame. What Tracy started on here a minute ago. And, instead of me walking you through the redemptive frame, I want to do it a little bit different. I want to show you a little quick video that explains the redemptive frame, and then I want to tell you my perspective of the redemptive frame based on my own experience, okay? So this is a little 3-minute video that Praxis put together that really explains it beautifully. So it's only 3 minutes, so don't blink, and because it's going to do a lot of material in 3 minutes, right? But it'll give you the gist and the overall perspective when we talk about redemptive frame. Okay? So, Natanya, will you start that for us?
Imagination of builders that shapes the world. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But what kind will we be? There are 3 ways to build: exploitative, ethical, and redemptive. The exploitative way is to take advantage, to control. It operates with a zero-sum, I win, you lose mindset, driven by self-interest, even in pursuit of good things. This way is all around us, shaping systems, transactions, and relationships. But it's never just out there. This selfish desire starts in here, in our own imagination and actions. It's part of everyone's story. So we try to do better and follow the ethical way, to do no harm, keep the rules, and add value, to aim for the win-win. And it's right to expect this of ourselves and everyone around us, yet we know that's not enough. It's not all the world needs, and not all we long to be. Jesus lived, died, and rose to show us something more radical. He calls us to a different way, the redemptive way, the way of creative restoration through sacrifice, where we freely choose to take risks, bear the costs, and create new possibilities, to repair what's broken, to free what's trapped, and to honor what's sacred, all for the sake of others. Win-win is just the beginning of this story. The gospel makes possible a greater truth. I sacrifice, we win. The redemptive way is to love our neighbor through every dimension of our life and work. It's joining God in the creative restoration of His world through what we build. Cities and capital, schools and startups, hospitals and hospitality. It's giving ourselves away in how we build, blessing others when it's costly, stepping away from safety, generously offering what is rightfully ours. And it all comes down to why we build. Not out of greed, but gratitude. Not to win, but to love. And not for our gain, but God's glory. This can't be done alone in our own strength. It takes the courage of surrender. That's why it's rare, but profoundly beautiful. At Praxis, we believe in the promise of redemptive builders.
Oh, that's powerful, and we're going to unpack some things. But I want to remind you some things, some kind of drop the mic phrases that they used in that little video that are strong words, that it's talking about. It talked about, 3 ways to build: exploitative, ethical, and redemptive. It talked about creative restoration through sacrifice. Creating a win-win environment with people instead of a win-lose environment with people. Things like, I sacrifice, we win. Joining God to create in creative restoration. Talked about taking risk, repairing what's broken, blessing others, loving our neighbor through every dimension of life and work, stepping away from safety, gratitude versus greed. How about the idea of it's not for my gain, but for God's glory that I'm doing what I'm doing. And then a big one, the idea of surrender. What is it that God would want me to surrender in my business for His glory and for the good of others? Is He calling me to surrender something, to lay something down for Him? Well, I've been in business in Oklahoma City for over 40 years. I've been in the healthcare business, Providence Care at Home, where we provide medical home care, we provide private personal care, and we provide hospice care. I've been in this business for 13 years. Been in the healthcare arena for the last 25 years. So, and as Tracy said earlier, I'm a third-generation entrepreneur in Oklahoma City. And when I graduated from college, I used the word call. It's a strong word, but I felt called to be in business, to use my business for the glory of God. I didn't know what all that meant. I'm still unpacking that 40 years later, but that's been the journey that I've been on. But I'm telling you guys, when I started unpacking some of this and started understanding what is it that God might be stretching me in, it's created real challenge in my life. It's called me out to a whole different idea of how God wants to use me in business. And it's not without pain, but it's been really good too. Our journeys in our business is not easy. Some of us could tell war stories, or we could show the scars from the journey that we're on. But sometimes we get our eyes focused on the wrong scorecard too. And God's doing some things. I tell you, in my business, it's been hard. Buying this company 13 years ago, and there's been some serious swings and ups and downs. I love the beauty of what we do. I love the opportunity. But through all of that, what God has put on my heart and just continues to show me over and over and over is how He wants me to learn to serve people. And I can't explain to you how God has used my business to take me on a journey with Him. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about that in the morning when we get started and share with you more about my journey and a little bit what that looks like. But He's also challenged me in ideas of how do I avoid the grip of money and sacrificially invest in others. What does that look like for me in my business, in my setting, in this time, in this economy? What does that look like? What about, he's challenging me with the idea of how do I balance the tensions of generosity versus profits? And what does that look like in my business? I mean, ideas like, if I'm going to be a redemptive business, does that mean I have to forego profits? Or does that mean that I have to operate with a considerably less margin than others? Big question. My short answer is I don't think so, but you may have a different answer to that. But it's not easy. Ideas like sacrifice, like taking risk, serving, those are things that God has been unpacking in me over the last few years with my understanding of what a redemptive business might look like. So, it's a journey, but I'm thinking oftentimes, guys, and sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm thinking, but God doesn't understand what he's asking of me. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands if you guys ever have that same question, but does he know how competitive healthcare is? Does he really understand that it's a red ocean many days? Yet he's asking me to look at it through his eyes and through, instead of the standard scorecard that the world's looking at it? Does he understand the tension I feel every day fighting for margin in business? You know, I'm asking, does he know how much it costs to take care of people in a beautiful way? These are all challenges that we all deal with. They're all real parts of our business and things we think about daily. And obviously he understands, and yet he's put me in this arena, and he's put me in healthcare. And he's given me this business platform to use for his glory. So we're working it out, guys. We're trying to work it out and trying to follow his leading and listen and learn and be humble in the process. Does he know? To share a few things Tracy got started on a minute ago. Does he know that 75 out of 77 counties in Oklahoma have the shortage of healthcare professionals? 75 out of 77. Does he know that Oklahoma physician-to-patient ratio is 39% worse than the national average? Or that we're 48th for uninsured population, or 46th for clinical care? Or that Oklahoma City is the least fit city in the U.S. for the top 100 cities? Or does he know that Oklahoma is in the top 10 in the country for suicides? Well, obviously he does. And obviously our community, and specifically healthcare, is broken in so many ways. And it needs to be redeemed in so many ways. And he's given each of us an opportunity and a platform to make a difference in that and to be used by God to do that. There's some really encouraging things that are going on in Oklahoma City. Some of them you're going to hear about in just a second. One of our venture partners, not a venture partner, but one of our alumni, and I would certainly consider a partner in Cultivate, and is continually a part of what we're doing and would be here tonight if not for a commitment otherwise. But they're building a new healthcare complex in North Broadway Extension called the Unison, with the whole heartbeat of that multi-acre complex. The whole heartbeat of that is redemptive healthcare partnerships and ideas. And that's one of the alumni from Cultivate that's on that journey. So there's some really cool things happening, and we want to express and expose you guys to some of those this evening. So in light of that, I want to introduce a couple people. One you've met is Reed, but he's going to come back up here in just a second. And I'm going to introduce he. And we're going to have two people take a few minutes to share what God's doing through the venture and the platform that he's placed them in. I'm just going to read the bio, and then I'm going to give you a little personal introduction for these. But Reed is executive director and co-founder of the Hilltop Clinic, a pediatric clinic serving families in Southwest Oklahoma City. Dr. Reed is a certified pediatrician who